Okay, so get ready, because today we're diving into something pretty profound.
Absolutely.
The human conscience.
Yeah.
This is that inner voice we have, the one
Really?
that tells us when something feels right or
Oh, yeah.
this
This is wrong.
big time.
Mm.
And I've been looking over the research that you sent in, and I'm so excited to
Yeah.
really dig into this with you.
Let's do it.
But before we jump in, I do want to mention for everyone listening,
Sure.
the source material that we're looking at today is an excerpt
Okay.
titled
Yeah.
Pasted Text.
All right.
And, I know the title might sound
Right.
a little bit formal, but trust me,
Oh, yeah.
this stuff is
That's
fabulous.
just really juicy.
Well, we're going to explore some really big questions today.
Yeah.
Like, how does our brain actually create
Right.
this sense of
Of morality.
right and wrong?
Yeah.
And is it all about nature
Yeah.
or nurture?
Nature versus nurture. That's the.
Or is it both?
Yeah, that is the big question.
Yeah.
And this excerpt really kind of tackles it head on right from the start. We're really starting with the biological underpinnings.
Okay, so let's start there.
Yeah.
With the biology of the conscience.
I always think about those like sci-fi movies where they try to create artificial intelligence.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And like the biggest hurdle they always face is how to program
Morality.
a robot to know right from wrong.
Yeah.
So it turns out that our brains actually have these specific regions that kind of act like the hardware for our moral compass.
So it's not just like this mystical, intangible thing.
No, it's like physically in our brains. Yeah.
Okay, so where
In the gray matter.
So where in the brain is this?
Yeah, so there are a few key players.
Okay.
First up, we have the prefrontal cortex, which is kind of like the CEO of our brain.
Okay.
Like it handles complex decision-making, planning for the future, and weighs in on moral judgments.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So the prefrontal cortex is the one making the tough calls.
It's weighing the options,
Okay.
thinking it through.
Okay, what about those
Yeah.
gut reactions we get?
Yeah.
Like you see someone being treated unfairly
Yes.
and you just instantly know,
Right.
like that's wrong.
It feels wrong in your gut.
Where does that come from?
Yes, that's where the amygdala comes in.
Okay.
Which is like our brain's emotion center,
Okay.
especially when it comes to like fear and anxiety.
Okay.
So if you see someone in danger, the amygdala is like, whoop, sending out these signals that something's not right.
It's like a little alarm bell.
Yeah, like a little alarm bell going off in your head.
So this all ties into our...
It all connects.
I'm starting to see how the pieces...
Direction together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we've got the insula, which is this really fascinating part of the brain
Okay.
because it helps us connect with the emotions of other people. Oh, so it's the
empathy center.
empathy center.
Yeah, okay.
So it allows us to actually feel what others might be feeling.
Wow.
Like if you see someone being hurt,
Yeah.
your insula is going to light up
Yeah, okay.
and you're going to experience their pain.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have these different brain regions all working together.
Working together.
To kind of create this sense of right and wrong.
Yeah. Like a little morality team in your head.
It's so complex.
But it's not just the hardware.
Right.
It's like a computer.
Right.
You need the hardware, but you also need the software.
Okay.
Like the programs that tell the hardware what to do.
Okay.
And in the case of our conscience, that software is cognition.
Okay, so explain that a little bit more.
Yeah, so cognition is our ability to think, reason, and learn.
Okay.
And it plays a huge role in shaping our moral development.
Okay, so how does that actually work in practice?
Well, imagine like a little kid who's learning not to steal.
At first, they might be tempted to just take a toy that they want.
Right.
But as they develop cognitively, they start to understand things like ownership.
Oh, okay.
Fairness.
Yeah.
And the consequences of their actions. Like maybe they've experienced having something taken away from them.
Yeah.
Or they see how upset their friend gets when their toy is taken.
Right.
And this understanding helps them develop that internal sense of what's right and wrong.
Okay, so that's where the conscience really starts to...
That's where it starts to kick in.
Come into play.
Yeah.
They're learning the rules of the game.
Exactly.
And those rules become part of
their decision making.
Yeah, so it's not just about the amygdala sending out alarm bells.
Yeah.
It's also about our ability to think through...
To process.
And reason.
And as we grow up,
that
moral reasoning gets more sophisticated.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we start to consider different perspectives, weigh the potential consequences more fully, and make judgments based on abstract principles like justice and compassion.
And that ability to see things
Yes.
from different perspectives.
That's perspective taking.
Is that something that the excerpt talked about?
Yes, it's a key part of this whole thing.
Yeah. How does that fit into all of this?
Well, perspective taking is like putting yourself in someone else's shoes
Right.
and trying to see the world through their eyes.
Oh, I see.
And this is essential for empathy,
Yeah.
which, as we talked about, plays a
Okay.
huge role in shaping our conscience.
Right.
So when we can understand how our actions might affect others,
Yeah.
we're more likely to make choices that align with our sense of right and wrong.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've got the brain regions.
It's got the hardware,
We've got the cognitive skills
the software.
that we've done.
Is that it?
Not quite.
Okay.
Remember how I mentioned like software updates for a computer?
Yeah.
Yeah, our conscience also needs updates.
And those come from our social and personal experiences.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect a computer program to just work perfectly right out of the box, would you?
Definitely not.
There's always bugs to fix,
Yeah.
new features to add.
Right.
Our conscience is kind of similar. Like
Yes.
our early childhood experiences, especially with our parents and caregivers,
Yeah.
those provide the initial framework for moral development.
Right. It's like installing the basic moral operating system.
It is. It's like mom and dad are giving you Morality 1.0.
Right. Exactly.
And they teach us about boundaries, fairness, consequences.
Wow,
Like, think about all the things parents say to their kids.
right.
We don't hit others because it hurts.
Share your toys.
Share your toys because it's all about building those foundational blocks.
Yeah.
And then as we interact with the wider world through school, friends,
Different social groups.
we get exposed to we encounter different values and beliefs.
Right.
It's like downloading new updates for our conscience,
Yeah.
expanding our understanding of right and wrong.
Right.
And we start to see that morality can be complex.
Yeah.
It's nuanced.
Definitely.
There isn't always a clear-cut answer.
It's not black and white.
No, lots of gray areas.
Okay, so how do we navigate all of this?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And this is where personal experiences
Got
and
it.
self-reflection
Right.
become so crucial.
Okay.
Because as we encounter real-life situations, both good and bad,
Right.
our conscience is constantly challenged
I see.
and refined.
Like think about a time when you faced a moral dilemma,
Oh, yes.
a situation where there was no easy answer.
Yeah.
How did you approach it?
Yeah.
What factors did you consider?
That's when you really have to
Go dig deep.
dig deep and examine your own values
Yeah.
and figure out, like, what is the right thing to do here.
Exactly. And those moments of struggle.
Of wrestling with our conscience.
Right.
That's what helps it grow
Yeah.
and evolve.
That's like a muscle.
It is. It's like a moral muscle.
Right. The more you use it,
You got to work it out.
the stronger it gets.
Exactly.
Wow.
It's a lifelong process
Absolutely.
of learning, adapting, and trying to live in accordance with our values.
This has been incredible.
It's fascinating, isn't it?
We've explored the biology of the brain,
The hardware
the power of cognition,
with software.
and the impact of social and personal experiences.
The updates.
It's amazing how it all comes together.
To create this thing we call conscience,
Right.
it's pretty remarkable.
And it really underscores the fact that each of us
Yeah.
has this incredible
And
capacity
I'll have it.
for moral growth.
It's in us.
Our conscience isn't static.
It's dynamic.
It's constantly evolving
You're
as we...
Learn and grow.
Yeah.
And experience life.
This deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
And I'm sure our listeners
I hope so.
feel the same way.
Yeah.
So here's a final thought for you all to ponder.
Ooh, I like it.
If our understanding of morality is always changing,
Right.
what does that mean for the future
Yeah.
of ethics and societal values?
That's a big one.
It's a question worth exploring
Absolutely.
as we continue on our individual and collective journeys.
Well said.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep learning.
We'll see you then.
Bye. Bye.
This is DigitView.